Again, if you're joining us for the first time, or if you are watching this and seeing this, again, what we do is we teach the stock market. Excuse me. What we teach the stock market. And what I mean by that is understand the simple steps that we can use to see when the market is ready to go higher, lower, and so on and so forth. One of the things that we like to specialize on is seasonality. And I'm very proud and very happy to say that we have now figured out a way to improve seasonality. I don't know how many people have ever traded seasonality before or challenges that you might have had with seasonality, but with the way we approach the market and the way we approach seasonality, it has been working bang busters or blockbusters, I should say, for us. And so I just hope that you can use the tools that we use in to help you. And so from time to time, you'll see us offer you guys some additional products or services. We invite you to come join us where we can show you even more stuff. And I hope that you take advantage of that. I've always said many, many times, please do not let money stop you. Let us help you. Does that make sense? Other than that, I'm just very happy to see that everything we talked about the market, if you've been following us for a while now, back in, what was it, August, we said everything that's happening right now, we were anticipating that. And congratulations to a lot of you who were able to navigate through all that, like literally witness. Some people came to me and said, wow, I cannot believe you're like a genius. It's like you opened my eyes to see how the market moves and stuff like that. So to me, I believe the stock market is not random. I keep on saying that, and I hope that as time goes on, you guys will get to see this too as well. One of the reasons why we say it's not is because seasonality, honestly, is one big reason why we believe the stock market is not random. There are certain stocks that benefit and do well during certain times of the year, right? The goal is to try to figure out which ones are going to do well this week, next week, the week after that, and making sure that they are actually beginning to move so we can profit from what is taking place. So in the past, my biggest issue with seasonality was not knowing if a stock that has been doing the same thing for the last 10 years, if it's going to do it again this year. Okay. And so part of what we've solved, the challenge that we solved is using this platform to see when data that suggests, yes, it's beginning to do the same thing. So then we went in and we also created, like, how do we know that it is continuing to do the same thing? So when the market started dipping in September, people were screaming, oh, the next bear market. If you guys recall, I kept on saying what? I am not short in this market. I am waiting for a bottom in October. And so what we did was we started working on what are the best stocks to jump into when the October bottom occurs. Wow, I got to trade these type of stocks. It has the potential to move 100, 200% over a 3 to 4 month period. And we're looking at this. Is there any reason why we should not get into this? All the data is telling us this is it. And we jumped in. I'm happy to say, as of today, stocks has gone up 57% in a 2-3 week period. So I know that things are happening. But this is what we do over and over and over again. But one of the key things, which is what I teach in the coaching program and all that stuff, is you got to time things right. And when I tell people time in the market to me is not picking the exact bottom, but knowing when markets are going to move, knowing when markets are going to stall, knowing when markets are running into trouble. I encourage you, take advantage of the things that we offer you, take advantage of the software, use it to your best advantage. It's not coincidence. And that's why I always say the true credit belongs to those who can train their eyes to see the setup. The setups are there. The patterns are there. You just have to learn to calm down, weed out all the noise, and focus on the data that counts. Does that make sense? So today, what we're going to do is show you some stocks based on seasonality. A guy who contacted me on social media and said, look, I like the fact that you're telling us what's going to happen to Apple, Microsoft, Tesla. These are all the big names. These are all stocks I have in my portfolio. Can you show me something that I don't have in my portfolio that shows how the seasonality works? And so that was this stock right here. At the time, I selected this stock because seasonality told us it goes up. It had been going up 8 times out of the last 10 years. And the key here is we wanted to see whether or not seasonality was ready to go. So at the time that this gentleman asked me, hey, show me something I haven't seen before, this was a stock that we were paying attention to based on seasonality. So using our right side platform, you can see here when we click on the seasonality chart that came up, this bar right here, this green bar right here, again, is a little fuzzy, so I apologize, but I'll just read what it says. It basically says that it's a scan that shows that this stock goes up in the last 10 years. It's gone up 8 times. Okay. And on average, it gives you about a 10% return on your money for about 20 trading days. So that is the information. And then this yellow line you see right here is basically what is seasonality showing us here. Now, the other thing is that what we try to do is make sure that this green bar here tells me this is the most consistent rally as of that time when I ran this scan. This is, looking into the future over the next 6 months. What we programmed into this was I said, look, I'm not so interested in the most profitable trade, more so than I am more interested in the most consistent trade. Okay, the most consistent trade is what I'm looking for because I've realized over the years of my experience and trading that consistency to me matters more than profitability. Okay, because if I can be very consistent, knowing what a stock is going to do, I can plan ahead and I can anticipate things a whole lot better with better results than just, oh, this stock shot up 2,000%. And you're sitting there wondering, what should you do now? Does that make sense? So the way we program this is not necessarily find the most profitable, more so than it's a find the most consistent rally or the most consistent drop a stock would have over the next 6 months, looking into the future. Okay. And so that's what this is. And so what this is telling us is this green bar tells us this is the most consistent rally for the stock. And then this red bar tells us this is the most consistent drop for this stock. So at that time, when we're looking at this was around last week or two. And basically was telling us, look, the most consistent rally for this stock is coming up. Now, the other issue that people have had with seasonality is that, they'll see or hear about a seasonal stock. It's all this stock rallies in October. Great. Right. And then it says, if it rallies in October, it rallies on October 15th. And so people will see that date and say, okay, October 15th. And so they'll wait for October 15th and then they start buying on October 15th. And what ends up happening is sometimes you'll come to October 15th and you'll see that the stock had been rallying for 2 weeks already by the time you get there. And so now they say, well, it says it's supposed to rally on October 15th. So they'll jump in, not realizing that they're on the tail end of that rally. And so I tell people the dates that any seasonal pattern gives you is subjective. And I think you have to take it with a little bit of grain of salt. But what I figured is that within a week or two, most of them would start their rally, give or take a week or two. Okay. So when I realized that, I said, wow, that means that we need to be paying attention to not just the exact date, but a range of dates around whatever the software tells us. Does that make sense? And so that is what we're doing. I see a question over here. Let me see if I can answer that question real quick. How do you calculate the consistency percentage for a given stock? And so basically what it does is we had it programmed. We had algorithms programmed to go back and look at the last so the 6 months that is coming up, starting today and 6 months from now. What we then did was, okay, now go back and look at the last 10 years history and find when was the most consistent rally based on those last 10 years, where it continued going up and it gave us a good return based on seasonality. So it's really a lot of calculations. And honestly, that's something that humans can do it, but it'll just take you a lot of time, whereas a computer can do all that information in a heartbeat. Okay. So anyways, that was what I was looking for. And that's what we program into this and say, give us the most consistent rally going forward, right? Now, even though we say it's the most consistent rally, I'm not a novice and naive to think, oh, just because it's done it the last 10 years, 10 times in a row, is guaranteed to do it again this year. No, that's not necessarily the case. But I do know that we have a better chance if it's done it for the last 10 years. But what if this year was the year where something happened internally, externally in the company, and then now it's not going to have that seasonal rally, right? We can't predict the future. But one of the things I realized is that there are certain patterns, there are certain things that we can get to start seeing right before the seasonality moves begin. And that's the other thing that I wanted to find out. So when you combine the knowledge of, hey, this has a seasonal pattern, this is the most consistent rally, plus, wait a second, here are the patterns that would tell us that it's ready to go higher. You combine those two together and you have something truly, truly amazing. Okay. So needless to say, this is what we did. And so on that platform or on the social media, I actually posted this. And one of the things you'll see and what we did was we said, in order for us to know when a seasonal move is beginning to rally, we created a model, a proprietary model that we have that is based on a lot of calculations, indicators, technical analysis, quantitative analysis that we put all together that comes down to one thing. I said, okay, after done all the analysis, what is the likelihood that the stock is ready to go higher? And so if you see on the left-hand side where it says ripe model by cover, okay, if you see that, that's one of the biggest things that we've done. And this is what I mean by we've changed the way we approach seasonality, because where most people were not sure whether it's going to work or not, we now know when a seasonal move is actually going to work, or the chances of it failing is higher. Does that make sense? And it's very simple, because once we know that we're within a week to 2 weeks of a seasonal pattern or a seasonal trend getting ready to begin, what we're looking for each and every day during that period of time is just this right model telling us a buy cover. Okay? A buy cover. That is what we're looking for. And so we did that. And so when this gentleman had asked me, hey, show me something that is different from what I already know, we showed him this one in particular. Now, at that time, what you're seeing here, where we had this buy cover, let me see if I can go back. Let's see here. Back here, when we had this buy cover, this was on the weekly chart. This is what it looked like during that week on the daily chart. This is actually a current chart of this right now. So it's been going up for a week and a half. And you can see as of this morning, the stock hit all-time highs. But again, we saw the pattern last week, about a week and a half ago, when we said this was ready to go. Okay. We go back here. This is where people would have been sitting back and saying, hey, let's wait. But the key here was we saw that this is a stock that has a seasonal move in October, has a very good profit potential, and the consistency is pretty much there, telling us this is the most consistent rally that you will see. Long story short, ladies and gentlemen, we have the buy cover here telling us that it's ready to go higher. Now we're all-time high as of today. Okay, so that was the stock. This is the one I sent in the email, BE, Bloom Energy, where again you can see the let me see this. Give me a second. You can see the seasonality here, showing us that this stock has a pretty decent rally, starting from this bottom right here, which is actually in October. Okay. So when I looked at this and I went back and I looked at the numbers on this, this was a stock that in that period of time could rally literally about 100 to 200%. Okay. And so what it was showing us here was that it had a 129% rally from this bottom here up until December. Okay. Now notice that what it didn't do was it didn't go all the way to February. So when I looked back and I saw, wow, what if I held it through February? This thing would show us that we can make up to 200% based on what this stock has done. Now, this stock has only been in existence for 2 or 3 years. And so it's still just 2-0. But to me, for something that big, I said, why not? Why not give it a shot? Let's take a look and see. The only question we had was, would we have a buy signal to say, look, the seasonal move is beginning again? Okay. And so from that point, we decided to take a look at it. And this is a screenshot. We first had a buy signal somewhere around this right here was when we first had our buy signal. And then we had another buy signal here. So even before the gap up, so we started buying this. Some students of mine and myself, we started buying this back over here, early October. Okay, early October is when we started buying this, and we held. And the reason why we held is because we seen that look, this stock for the next 4 months could rally anywhere from 100% to 200%. And so when we knew that in our head that look, we're gonna, and I told him, I said, look, you're gonna see pullbacks along the way. The choice is yours to either sell when the pullback begins and get out and jump back in when the rally's starting, or you could just take the chance and just hold it for the next 4 months and just see whether or not this would do well for you. So we both decided, look, we'll buy some right now. If there's any major pullback, we'll sell portions, but not the whole thing. We'll start selling 25% off, and then we'll sell another 25%, another 35% if we see that things are getting worse. Long story short, I'm very happy to say from that point on till now, I don't know what it's doing today, but regardless of what it's doing today, this stock had rallied over 50% since we first got in, which is about 3 weeks ago. Okay. And again, this is just the power of seasonality. And then last week, I was talking to my coaching students and I said, even though we had this big gap, I said, it gave us a buy cover, even with that big gap. And I said, like, the fact that it can give us a buy cover there tells us that there's still room for this to go. And again, we're not guessing or hoping or wishing. We're saying this because of what we saw on the seasonality pattern here. Does that make sense? If we go to the weekly chart of this, we're showing that we're just at the beginning of a weekly long trend. Does that make sense? And this kind of plays into the whole seasonal aspect. The weekly chart is now giving us a buy signal. This is the buy signal on the weekly chart. This tells me there is still more room for this to go higher. Does that make sense? And so I looked at this, it's already moved 50% already. I mean, that's just mind blowing to move 50% in 3 weeks on the stock. And if it does what it's done in the past, we expect this to not only hit all-time highs at $45, but return easily profits of 100 to 200%. Okay. And again, so I saw some comments there, people asking, what is a buy cover? A buy cover is basically our proprietary buy signal. So what I did, again, I used quantitative analysis, technical analysis, seasonality, and historical data to tell me when a stock is really ready to move higher. Does that make sense? I wanted to solve the issue of trying to buy a stock and then guessing. I didn't want to have to guess. And I learned this, if anybody's listened to some of my presentations, there's a guy by the name of Jim Simons. I encourage you guys to search him, check him out. He basically talks about how patterns exist in charts. And he's a multi-billionaire that created his whole software based off of just patterns, historical data, technical data, quantitative data, and so on and so forth. So needless to say, I went out and studied that, and I started building my own based off of the concept of what Jim Simon said, which is everything has patterns. Does that make sense? He doesn't use any fundamental analysis. He doesn't look at news. It's just strictly data. And so that's what I did. So what we did was we created this platform. I wanted to know 4 things. I want to know when it's time to buy. I want to know when it's time to sell. I want to know when I need to place a stop. And I also want to know when I need to just be sitting on my hands and doing nothing. Okay, those are the 4 things I wanted to do. And so in our right side platform, what it does is it would take all the data for that day and look at it and say, okay, today you should be buying. Or it would say, today you need to be placing a stop. Or today you need to be selling. Or today do absolutely nothing. And so usually when the market is ready to go higher, it'll let us know today you need to be buying. If it's a weekly chart this week, you should be buying. If something goes wrong along the way and you need to start placing stops, it will let you know that as well. And that's what this stuff does. So the right model is making sure that we're on the right side of things, all right? And so that's what that is. Let me do this. Here's an example of some seasonal stocks that came up earlier this month in October. And for time's sake, I'm just going to go to maybe 2. One was ARCO that had a seasonal pattern of going higher,
nine times out of 10. Okay, 9 times out of 10, they had a seasonal pattern of going higher. What you see here, that's what this up rate is. The up percentage tells us that it goes about 6.95% on average for a number of 27 days. So that means you'll be making about 0.26% per day for those 27 days, right? But again, just because it tells us it's ready to go higher, the problem is how do we know whether or not it's actually going to work? And so what I'm going to do here is show you a chart of this stock. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay, well, I'll just go here. Let's just type this in. Okay? And keep in mind, it said October 1st. So we'll go to October 1st, right around there when they said it was time to start buying, and you'll see what happens. So with our platforms, so let me see if I can bring this down. October 1st was right about here. Okay? And so again, if I go here, you can see that it says, you know, October 1st is when the seasonal move is supposed to begin. But here's a classic example of where it did not work. So on October 1st, if you take a look, and it's very faint, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. You see that on October 1st, right there, notice what the right model says. It says wait and hold. Okay, it wasn't telling us to buy. It was saying wait and hold. Okay? That's what it was saying on October 1st, right there. So this would be where, again, in the past, we're seeing a seasonality stock like that and say, wow, okay, this stock is supposed to move up. It's gone 9 times out of the last 10 years. That's a pretty good odds. We should try to jump in October 1st. But what I would have said is go here to this platform and look and see what it's saying. The mere fact that the background is red tells us that it's bearish rather than bullish. We want to see a bullish background, meaning that the bullish trend has begun. So right there, visually, just seeing that red pattern would have told us don't even think about buying it on October 1st. But more importantly was the right model not telling us to buy. So the fact that it says wait and hold, it's letting us know if you're a bullish person, just wait, don't do anything. If you shorten this, just hold on to your position because it's going in the right direction if you're short. But what we are looking at is a stock that in the past, 9 times out of 10 has gone higher starting October 1st. So here we are now, October 1st, it didn't. October 2nd, still saying wait and hold. October 3rd, 7th, and right here it's like, look, getting shorter, get out, exit your long positions is what it's telling you. Sell short. That's a wait a second. That's not the direction that this stock is supposed to be going if it's supposed to be a bullish seasonal pattern around this point in time. And this is how we prevent ourselves from jumping into a stock that was not supposed to move. Now, contrast that to, say, the first one on the list, GNRC, which I actually gave to our subscribers. And I said, look, take a look at GNRC. This is a stock that is ready to move. Now, again, excuse me, when GNRC was showing this is the beginning of October, okay? So here we were on October 1st. And you can see it was still red background, which means that we shouldn't have been buying. So we waited. And then what happened was we go all the way to where it started trending green, right? Okay. And then we had this, and then we finally had a buy cover on the 14th, right? And remember what I said, give or take a week or two. So literally 2 weeks after, we finally had a buy cover. Now, somebody would look back in hindsight and say, oh yeah, see, if you had bought this back here on the 1st, you would have done well. But that was too much of a risk for us to try to jump in. We want to make sure that, yes, the trend has truly begun. And so the first sign that the trend was beginning was on October 12th. But at the time, we didn't have enough data to say, look, this trend is really in motion. And so that's why I said, look, if you go long because the background is not green, what it says here is place your stop right away, right? And then on the second day, it says, look, do the same thing, get in short or get out. Now, what that means simply is, look, if you want to get some protected puts to protect yourself, or you want to place some stops, do something to protect yourself because there's not enough data to suggest that the trend has started right away. But then by this day right here, it gave us a buy signal. That buy cover simply means buy if you're going long, cover your shorts if you were shorting this. Now, you should have been already out of this because on the 12th, it told you all the shorts exit your short positions. You can see that it was telling if you're long, place your stop, but if you're short, you need to exit your position. This right here, where it says get in short or get out, is look, again, if you are long, get in short by making sure you have your stops in place, buy protective puts if you want to. But if you're short, get out of this thing. And then right here, again, it's saying buy. Now is the time to buy because we've now collected enough data to say the trend is actually in progress. The seasonality is actually in progress. Okay. And now we see how this played out. Big difference between, a list of stocks that we had where they were all saying they should move around the same time. And one worked and one did not. Okay. And then I'm going to try to see if I can end it with BBD because this was one where it told us to get in, but then somewhere along the way, we started running into problems. So let me show you this because again, BBD on the 4th said seasonality is supposed to begin. And so you will see how the platform kind of helps us with this as well. Now, notice what happened. We had a green background, right? But we didn't get a buy cover. Now, prior to this, everything was bearish in a sense. So it told us to buy on October 15. 2 days later, it told us something went wrong. Getting sure to get out. And then 2 days after that, it's doing the exact opposite of what we expected to do, which is telling us to sell. This is where in the past I would have held on thinking, well, we got to give it time for volatility. Maybe it's going to come back and all that kind of stuff. Let's just wait and see. Seasonality says it's supposed to go for a whole month, so let's wait and see. And I would have waited that whole month only to find out that I've lost money, especially when I was trading options on this. Okay, so no more do I have to worry about that. Is what I'm basically trying to show you guys here. And needless to say, what this then did was told us to sell, and what we end up seeing is right now the mere fact that the background is red tells us this trend is struggling. The seasonality is struggling. So this will be one where come next year, rather than a 9-0, it'll be an 9-1. It'll be an 8-2. The beauty, I can get anything across to you guys today. The beauty of this is we're guided along the way. Okay, so we were able to get out of the ones that was not going to work. We were able to find the ones that were going to work. We were able to manage our positions on the ones that were struggling. All right. So I'm going to try to end it there and turn it over to Dave. But before I do so, I just want to do this. And again, I'll send you guys an email too as far as this is concerned. But if anybody's interested in taking advantage of this offer, we decided to give you a special offer for those who want to take advantage of this over the next 48 hours. Okay. I'm going to go here and